for the Spirit I am. I live for the Spirit I am. Oh, oh. I am, I live for the Spirit I am. I live for the Spirit I am. Oh, oh. I am, I am. What I'm here for, I wonder, what am I in this world to do? Yeah, what I'm here for is one thing. One thing I know is true. I live for the Spirit I am. I live for the Spirit I am. Oh, I am, I live for the Spirit I am. I live for the Spirit I am. Oh, oh, I am, I am. Looking in the mirror, I'm asking, am I the change I long to see? You know the world is just a picture of what's inside of you and me. I live for the Spirit I am. I live for the Spirit I am. Oh, oh, I am, I am, I am. Live for the Spirit I am. Oh, oh, I am, I am, I am. The wonder of life and the air and the land and sea, this precious gift to me. In a world that's torn by war and strife, all we can do is claim love as our reality. I tell you, if you ask me what I'm in this world to do, I live for the Spirit I am. I live for the Spirit I am. Oh, I am, I live for the Spirit I am. I live for the Spirit I am. Oh, I am, I am. Walking with the Spirit, I am, I am. Talking with the Spirit, I am, I am. Moving with the Spirit, am, I am. Improving, moving with the Spirit. Let's fix it with the Spirit. I am, I am. Gonna mix it with the Spirit. All around the world, I am, I am. Heating with the Spirit, feeding with the Spirit, talking, yeah, moving, grooving with Spirit. Oh, yes it is. Oh, oh, I am, I am. I am, I am, I am.
Good morning. Let's take a moment to pray together. As we come together today, we know that this is a beautiful day that God has made for us, and we rejoice in it. We know that each and every person here is blessed, and all those listening, watching, whatever they're doing out there, they're all blessed. Everyone is blessed, because we are each a blessing of that one. And knowing that we are all connected in that one blessing just reminds us, as the song said, we are not alone. We are one with that one who created all. So with that in mind, we know that we are here today to celebrate in community, and to know that our time together is very blessed, and that we are in deep appreciation for each and every person who has put this Sunday service together. We are in appreciation for our beautiful music, for our audiovisual team, for our ushers, our hospitality, our practitioners, and Reverend Jenn. So we know that the message today is one that will speak to our hearts And there is always a nugget we can take away for the day and incorporate that in our lives. So be open to listening to that nugget that speaks to you. And remember it during the week and use it. Because that's part of our spiritual growth, is to enjoy those nuggets, to use them in our own lives and spread our joy to others. So for this time together and for this place, we are so very grateful and thankful as we say together, and so it is. And we have a few words of wisdom today. And the first one comes from Michael Beckwith. And he says, to the degree that you attune yourself to the vibratory frequencies of love, compassion, truth, discernment, and honesty, a vibration will go forth from you that contributes to the upliftment of your own consciousness and the collective consciousness. And from Thich Nhat Hanh, to live in the present moment is a miracle. The miracle is not to walk on water. The miracle is to walk on the green earth in the present moment, to appreciate the peace and beauty that are available now. We are here to awaken from the illusion of our separateness. And from our founder, the Honorary Dr. Ernest Holmes, to practice the presence of God is to awaken within us the Christ consciousness.
So here we are. It is the second Sunday in July. Isn't it fun how time flies? With the cooler temperatures the last couple days, I thought maybe we just skipped summer. We just decided to just move right on. We'll see what happens next. Today we have an interesting top title. It's called Get Me Hypnotized. And as I step into this talk today and take you with me, I want to share with you some ideas that came forth. As you know, we practice the global vision. So we have a group of ministers who get together once a year and they vision on all of the global themes and talk titles for the following year. And I just wanted to give you some of the insight of some of the things that came forth as this process was taking place that brought us to this beautiful and interesting talk title. Years ago, Bob Welch, who was with Fleetwood Mac at the time, wrote a song called Hypnotized. And the last verse of that song closes with this statement. Now you know it's a meaningless question to ask if those stories are right, because what matters most is the feeling you get when you're hypnotized. Don Miguel Ruiz talks about this very concept, and he calls it domestication. New Thought refers to it as the collective unconscious. So we're getting the gist of where we're going with this, right? It is the collective dream in which we are all enmeshed and we don't even know it's a dream. How fun is that? All around us we're being called to wake up. Let us say yes, even if we'd rather stay hypnotized in the dream because it feels so good. John Lennon said, living is easy with eyes closed, misunderstanding all you see. So when we're in that dream state, we're in that space of being a little bit unconscious. When we are in that place of being hypnotized, we are not in the reality of what life is about. And so what we're looking at today is how do we move from that into that place of waking up and being aware of the world around us. Our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, in 1927 said, we believe the ultimate goal of life to be a complete emancipation from all discord of every nature, and that this goal is sure to be attained by all. Wow. The ultimate goal of life on planet Earth, in case you missed it, is to be in complete emancipation from all discord. What is discord? Well, it is grumbling, it is complaining, it is challenge, it is conflict, it is war. And not only is it to be free from that, but it is available and able to be attained by all people. Oh my goodness. As I read that quote and started taking that apart, I'm thinking, we've missed this. We've missed a whole big concept here about why we're here and what we're here to do. Our entire journey here is to help us wake up, to recognize what's going on around us and the truth of it. Not some perceived idea, not some story we made up, and not some story someone else made up. We have this belief system that we're moving, so the hypnosis, the hypnotized piece, that concept, that creates separation because we're not really here. We're possibly not even in the body when we're having these thoughts, these ideas, these experiences. And so it creates a sense of separation from God, from others, from ourselves, from the truth. And what it brings to us, here's what we get for that, because there's always a reward, right? What we get from that is we get seeds of good, bad, right, wrong, us, them, fear, judgment, on and on and on. The seeds create within us a desire to control. And with control comes wonderful, wonderful activities called blame, shame, guilt, heaven, hell, victim, persecutor, rescuer, and so on. What if we could just be? What if we could just wake up to the moment, to the day, to the time, to the space, to who we are, recognizing the truth of our being and the truth around us, and stop making stuff up and move away from these challenges, these behaviors that we create that cause us to feel more and more separated. In our foundational principle of oneness, we practice getting to know this principle more and more and more, because the oneness piece is the, not necessarily the opposite, but it's at the other end of the spectrum from this separation. And so let's tap into that. Let's look at that. What does it mean? Sure, that person over there is doing something that is irritating the holy heck out of me. And yet, I know we are one. I know we both come from the same source. I know that individual may or may not be awake or enlightened. They have perceptions and beliefs that I may not share. But that doesn't mean that we can't be connected and recognize that essence of who we are. Holmes also says to us that to practice the presence of God is to awaken within us the Christ consciousness. So those of you who understand the philosophy of religious science that we teach regularly here know that we talk about the Christ consciousness quite a bit. And it's to have that same consciousness that Christ had, that Jesus had when he walked on planet Earth. He was a metaphysician. He was speaking in metaphysical terms through most of his teachings, allowing us to look at a message that would expand us into something beyond what just seemed to be the reality of here and now, the circumstances of my life, if you want to call it that. So one of the things we realize in this process is that life is a mirror. Everything that's going on out there is a reflection to us. And what happens with us is when we don't like the image we see in the mirror, we go get a different mirror. Well, that one's not working very well, so I'm going to go get a different one. And it's not the mirror that is the challenge. It's what's the reflection? What am I seeing in me that I didn't see before, that I don't like or I don't want to see, and what can I do about it? How can I move forward? Mary O'Malley is the author of the book, What's in the Way is the Way. And she uses the analogy in this concept of the storyteller that lives within us. Now, here's what happened. Every single one of us came to this life as an infant. Is there anyone who started out as an adult? Okay, good. So I got that statement right. I just want to be sure. So we all started as an infant, and what happened is, in our growth and development, every time a condition showed up, something happened out there, we created a story. Some of us are still living the same story that we created at the age of 5, or 7, or 12. How's that working for you? Because I have discovered when those show up for me, they aren't working at all. So we want to move away from the storyteller idea and move into the truth of our being. Someone asked Tony Robbins, we all know who he is, motivational speaker once, if it was hard to hypnotize people. And he said, absolutely not. He said, what's difficult is getting people to wake up from the trance state they're already in, because they're not really here. And we know people like this, and sometimes we have those moments. I call them out-of-body experiences. I don't know what you call them, but it's like I'm doing stuff and I don't even know I'm doing it. Let me tell you a quick story, because it just, I have to. I told you all I moved last week, and last week I told you I moved. I moved a couple weeks ago. And I have been trying to purchase chair cushions for this dining room set I have. And I ordered them from Amazon, and they came, and they were supposed to be this beautiful deep purple, because you know how I am. And what showed up was gray cushions. And I reached out to Amazon, and I sent them back, and they said, okay, fine, we'll send you more cushions. And they sent me 4 more cushions, the exact color of the first cushions they sent me. And I'm thinking, okay, so I don't know who's looking at the packaging here, but clearly they don't understand the color purple. So those also got returned. Yesterday I was talking to a friend of mine about where can I go to get cushions for the chairs. And we were talking about Bed Bath & Beyond, which I'm hearing Bed Bath & Beyond went away. I'm sorry, I didn't know that, but anyhow, we were talking about different places I could go to find chair cushions. And this morning I opened my front door and there's a box outside. And it's a decent-sized box, and I bring it in the house and I open it up, and there are 4 dark purple chair cushions in it from Amazon. Evidently, I decided to give them one more shot, and I don't even remember it. That's called an out-of-body experience for me. I can make up a lot of stories about that, but I choose not to. I'm going to just say, well, there's been some stress in my life with the move and a couple other things, and we'll just move on. But those are the moments I want you to think about. Those times when you do something or you say something and you weren't even really aware that you did. Wake up. Be here now. Be present. That's what we want to do so we can tap into the reality of what's going on with us. And when we talk about reality, we as religious scientists need to be really conscientious of the language we use, because we live in a world of jargon. We have a lot of great words and a great terminology for how we are and how we need to be. And we want to avoid that, because if we're trying to be that person of support for someone who's kind of floundering with their language or floundering with what they're trying to see or believe, we want to allow that to happen without any kind of comments that may seem critical in any way. Because we teach that we don't judge. We don't judge here. Everyone's welcome here, and we're not going to judge you. And then we have a conversation, we start correcting someone. So let's just pay attention to that. If we want to change the world out there, we've got to understand what is out there and what it really is. And what can we do about it? So I saw this video a couple days ago where they were, and I can't even tell you who it was, but what was happening was they were interviewing a few Gen Xers. Now, I'm a boomer. You place yourself wherever you want to be, I don't care. But I'm a baby boomer, so I have that mindset that, this is how you communicate, this is how we do stuff, this is, I've got kind of I thought I had a handle on it till I watched this video. And what I discovered is that Gen Xers take exception to a text message that has a period in it. And I'm thinking, aren't we teaching these guys grammar and English and stuff? But it is that abrupt hit of a period in a text message that creates an offensive feeling from the recipient. Oh, that's not all. The thumbs up that we're throwing around all over the place, oh my gosh, that doesn't fit well in the world of the Gen Xers either. That has connotations that are very uncomfortable for them. What have we done? And what are we doing? Are we acknowledging that there is a whole generation of people who have had cell phones and iPads and computers since the age of 10 and 11, and through their growing up period, they have some ideas about what works and what doesn't work. They had a whole conversation about the smiley face emoji. The smiley face emoji that's just the smiley face is not a good emoji. It doesn't have a positive impact. But if you use the smiley face that shows teeth or has a dimple, I'm like, oh my, I don't even look at the emojis that closely to even know what they were. I had to go get my phone and take a look at some of this, but I thought, here we are. I'm thinking that, I've got all this wisdom because I've been here, forever, and I have all this knowledge about growing up and grammar and all of these things, and I'm going to try and convey that to someone else, and here's a whole generation of people coming forth that don't see it that way. Are we waking up to that idea, and are we taking the time to hear them? Are we taking the time to get acquainted with that? I'm not putting emojis on text anymore because it's like I don't even know what half of them stand for now. And after hearing that conversation, I thought, my goodness. So we have work to do. Clearly, we have work to do to wake up to what's going on. Evan Hodkins, who is with the School of Alchemy, amazing, amazing man. He says it isn't a matter of good and evil. It's a matter of being asleep or awake. Here's what he says. When we encounter people and circumstances and organizations who upset us, it's important to step back and recognize that below the surface of appearances, again, we are one. We are of the same thing. We want the same thing, love. We may have very different ways of how to get it or how to go about it, but it's truly what we want, to love, to be loved. This is because the infinite presence is love, and we're simply wanting to be aligned with it, no matter how distorted our method is. He talks about how we have this desire to control everything, and we have, in that desire of control, we want to control ourselves. And in controlling ourselves, we want to make sure we're doing it right. And then what happens is the ego kicks in and we step into rightness mode, and then we start looking at all the people who are doing it wrong. See where I'm going with this? And we start going down to that path of judgment or stepping away from others who maybe don't think like me or who have a different mindset. There is a dysfunctional behavior that's built on that whole concept. And we have the opportunity, the power, and the ability to let that go. To tap into that sense that we are divine beings having a human experience, instead of the fact that we're human beings having a divine experience. We're divine, we are of the divine. And we want to move away from those behaviors of control and rightness, because it is in those behaviors that we choose to use words like wrong and evil. I had a friend years ago who thought a relative was evil. All the conversations in the world over a couple-year period and prayer could not remove that mindset. There was a firm and solid belief. And no one of us is evil. We may behave in ways that aren't exactly pleasant or comfortable or acceptable, but we're not evil because we're all of God. So let's keep that in mind as we step into this week and we look at waking up and addressing the life we're living and the world we're living in from a perspective of openness and embracing it. From Buddhism, we have this quote, "I had a dream that I was awake and I woke up to find myself asleep." I'm sure you've had that experience where you dreamed you woke up. I've gotten as far as being in the shower or brushing my teeth, and then I wake up and I haven't even gotten out of bed yet. So yeah, we kind of dream, we go into that dream state. So there is a Chinese philosophical classic by Shangzi, and the great Taoist thinker talks about how he fell asleep one day and he dreamed he was a butterfly. And when he woke up, he thought, well, am I a human who dreamed I was a butterfly? Or am I a butterfly who's now dreaming I'm human? And we've played with that little insight over the years, and we've made it all kinds of things, but it's interesting to look at this because this story was just designed to be kind of a charming anecdote in how our minds work. And Shangzi has received some comments of the fact that if there was anything of deep meaning to that whole little scenario, why didn't we also hear from the butterfly? And I thought that was really curious because I'm thinking, because I don't think the butterfly was dreaming, but then I kind of stepped into that and thought, okay, well, let's look at that from that philosophy for a minute. When you think about this story, it's written from the point of view of the philosopher. And the philosopher is wondering, is he awake? Is he asleep? Is he human? Is he a butterfly? And he's asking sincerely, what does this mean? And what can it mean to any one of us? And I find it beautiful because I always thought that was really amazing to hear that story because, again, it's bringing from that sleep time, that dream time, it's bringing from that storytelling that we're doing for ourselves when we are in sleep mode, and it's bringing it into the awakeness and the awareness of reality and trying to stay in tune with that. And it's almost like we're kind of grappling with that idea and that energy just a little bit. So, have you had a dream where you thought you were awake, and then you woke up to discover you had really been asleep? Our consciousness and our body and our awareness is just as aware of sleep mode as it is of awake. We know this. You have had a dream. It wasn't a comfortable dream. Maybe you were being chased by a tiger. Maybe you were fighting for something. Maybe there was a conversation or a challenge going on in your life and it was creating high emotion, and you wake up. You come out of that dream and you have to start convincing yourself it was just a dream. I used to hate it when I'd have a dream about someone, and I haven't had anything like this for quite a few years, so now I'll probably have one tonight. But anyway, where I was in an argument with someone, or someone was really upset with me, and I'd wake up so upset because they were upset with me. And then I couldn't shake it. And you keep trying to tell yourself, it's okay, that was a dream, you know, and you're going through this whole mindset and this process. And it's interesting to look at that and go, okay, how do I bring that conscious awareness to this world and say and be okay with where I am and what's going on? Philip Toshio Sudo said this: "We take life for granted, sleepwalking until a shattering event knocks us awake. Zen says, don't wait until the car accident, the cancer diagnosis, or the death of a loved one to get your priorities straight. Do it now. Do it now." That's such an important quote. We want to move this understanding past that intellect, because we can logicize, we can get it in the brain, we can intellectually look at it, we kind of know what's going on. We want to move past that just a little bit, and we want to look into that place of going into that place of knowing who we are, knowing what's going on, knowing the truth, knowing how faith works, all of those pieces, and integrate that into our life. Meditation supports us with this, to go into the quiet, to tune everything else out, to allow ourselves to be fully at peace in the moment, to let go of the voices and the stories that have jumped into our heads over the years that do not serve us, that don't give us what we need. Another thing that we can look at in this process is compassionate listening. When you're charged up, how compassionate of a listener are you? I'll confess, for me, not so hot. Because I've got some emotional something going on, and I'm reacting to it, and now I have someone who needs to share with me, and I need to be present to hear what they've got going on, to support them, and it almost feels like it's kind of an internal conflict with how that's working and how that's going on. So listening compassionately is when we listen from curiosity. I just want to hear what you have to say. I want to hear your point of view. I want to hear your ideas. I want to hear your thought process. And as many of you know, when you meet with a practitioner and you're looking for prayer support, or even one of our ministers, one of the things we ask you about is we just ask you to kind of define what you're thinking and define what you're feeling, and then what would you like to experience instead of this? If this is uncomfortable, what would be comfortable? And then that's what we take into spiritual mind treatment, is that opposite. Because we want to affirm the positive side as we're releasing the negativity or the less than ideas that do not support us. There's a verse in Lesson 5 in A Course in Miracles that reminds us, I'm never upset for the reason I think. We react to something that feels like something else. That's pretty much what we do. And sometimes it's a day or a week later when we figure out, oh my gosh, now I know where that came from. That didn't even have anything to do with that individual. So we're never really upset for the reason we think. But in living in this place of awareness and being awake, we can get a better handle on that, and we can adjust as we need to. I appreciate Sharon bringing the quote from Thich Nhat Hanh. I love this, and so I'm going to repeat it for you. It is important to surround yourself with people who have loving kindness, understanding, and compassion, because day and night we are influenced by the collective consciousness. This is why we get together as a community. We want to be around people who think like we do. We want to be in a place, in a situation where we can feel safe, comfortable, accepted. And that's what community is, and that's what community on a Sunday service is, for us to do that. And so we want to consider that. So let me think about this for a second. Let's say you're in a room full of people and nobody in the room thinks the way you do. What's going on with you in that moment? How do you feel at that moment in time? What is transpiring for you? Have you ever been in an art museum and you're watching people walk over to a piece of art and just oogling and going on and on about the beauty of this piece of artwork, and you're thinking, that's ugly. I don't get it. But what happens to us, because we don't want to be the odd man out most of the time, is we start to think, well, maybe it is beautiful. Maybe I don't see it, but maybe it's beautiful. And then the next thing you know, you're telling someone, oh my gosh, you should go to such and such and you should see this. There's this beautiful piece of art there. People were just oohing and ahhing over it. And there's and there's kind of like a kind of feeling inside you, because that's what it is for me. There's a part of my body that's going, why are you even saying this? You don't believe this. So in that scenario of the people that we are connecting with and the people we're hanging out with, yeah, we're going to pick up some of their traits. We copy one another from time to time. We pick up one another's language. We pick up one another's jargon. We might see someone with an outfit we really like, and we have to go buy that outfit. Just those types of things. That's the human side of us. So what we want to do is we want to recognize that we're influenced by everyone we interact with. So let's be selective. If we're living in that world of being awake, we can choose who's in our inner circle. And you don't have to explain it to anybody. And anyone who's not part of your inner circle, wish them well, bless them always, connect when you need to, but allow them to move on. Doesn't that sound simple? It's not that simple, but it sounds really simple. And again, it's a process. It's not something we can do overnight. I remember when my oldest son was in his teens, so let's see, that would have been a while ago. He wanted to be an individual. He wanted people to see him as individual, independent, 16-year-old. He had long hair down past his shoulders. He wore tie-dyed shirts. He wore raggedy bell-bottom jeans. He looked like he just walked out of the 1960s. But he thought and felt that he was being original. And that's what happens with us, right? We are reminded to express as our own individual selves and be aware of the collective ideas that impact us and influence us. We're not here alone. We are here as a unified group of people. All of us. All of us. And another quote that you heard a little earlier from Michael Beckwith. To the degree that you attune yourself to the vibratory frequencies of love, compassion, truth, discernment, and honesty, a vibration will go forth from you that contributes to the upliftment of your own consciousness and the collective consciousness. That makes me think that I'm responsible for what's coming from me. Not just because of the one person I might be interacting with, but because of the entire collective consciousness of people, because I'm sending out more than just a conversation I'm having with a person in this room right now. I'm sending out an energy, I'm sending out a vibration, and it's going everywhere. That's a huge responsibility for us to look at and think about. So as we become aware that maybe we're hypnotized, maybe we're hypnotized by the collective consciousness. Maybe some of the things we think are truth are things that we've just heard said so many times that we just said, okay, well, that must be it. And we didn't take the time to figure it out for ourselves. We are not a philosophy that says you have to listen to what the minister says and believe every word. We are the philosophy that says, hear what's being spoken, take those gems and morsels that work for you and that need to be impacting you in your daily life, and go forward with that. But don't just buy into everything. We're intelligent beings and we can choose. When we stop relating to the world from an us versus them mindset, we begin to see inside a lot of living creatures who are just living the dream or in the dream. When we understand the core that all we have is love, we realize that what runs most of us is the influence of others. But when we realize that we have a choice and that we don't have to follow, we can take a different approach to healing ourselves and the world around us. A world that works for everyone is a positive, tangible, reachable, attainable truth. And it doesn't even take 100% of us to get us there. It just takes a percentage of us to support getting us there. So we're going to let go this week of the idea of attacking what's going on out there, of claiming it as wrong, evil, disgusting. And we're going to move into that place of, what do I need to do to support me and my life in being awake, alive, awake, aware? And how can I be in that space and also support others to do the same? Take time this week to meditate. If you sit quietly for 3 minutes, so be it. Sit quietly for 3 minutes. If you can go into meditation for 10 minutes, yes, do that. Reap the rewards of what that is going to do for you. More than that, yes, absolutely. Allow that quiet to help distill some of the things that are going on in the mind that just don't really belong there. Clear the fog. I thought it was so great that that was one of the statements that was in the text that I got from the team that puts the vision together when I woke up this morning to fog. I was like, well, here we go. It's foggy outside. Now it's talking about fog is in my head. Let's look at this, and how can I practice this? Practice compassionate listening this week. Be curious about the people you interact with. And practice this to the degree that your ego becomes a little more quiet and stops talking about all of the enemies that it thinks you have, and helps us to build that world that supports each and every one of us. Please pray with me. Breathing into this space, into this moment right here and right now, I know that God is present. I know that that power, that creator of all life, of all things, exists everywhere. In all time frames, in every location, there is no place where that is isolated and God is not. And so knowing this, we embrace this idea because we know that we are not alone. We are never alone. We are always accompanied by Spirit. All we need to do is tune into that and embrace the idea and accept it. And as we look at this week, we look at the truth of the circumstances that are going on around us, and we choose to wake ourselves up and be in that place of awareness in the present moment and knowing what is the truth for us, and letting the other messaging and messages go and just let them fall by the wayside. How beautiful it is and how wonderful it is to be right here, right now on planet Earth and know that God has got all of us. That whatever's transpiring in the conditions around us, we can tune into Spirit and be supported fully 100% all the time in all things. God is good. God is amazing. And in this place of greatness and in this place of joy and in this place of happiness and acceptance, we embrace this idea and we move forward boldly, allowing ourselves to be those compassionate listeners for the rest of the world in support of others who are also trying to find their way. So what I know right here and right now is that all people everywhere are blessed by God, in God, and as God. There is no one that has been left out. There never will be. So in this place of knowing this truth of who we are, we give thanks. Thanks for all of this. And as we release these words onto the law of mind, we know that Spirit's already hearing what's in our hearts before we ever speak our word. That's what prayer is, and that's what prayer does for us. It's all good, and it's all perfect, and it's all God. And so right here and right now, we just simply let it go and let it be as we say together, and so it is.
Wake up, everybody. No more sleeping in bed. No more backwards thinking. Time for thinking ahead. The world has changed so very much from what it used to be. There is so much hatred, war, and poverty. Oh. Wake up, all the teachers, time to teach a new way. Maybe then they'll listen to what you have to say. They're the one who's coming up. The world is in their hands. When you teach the children, teach them very best you can. Oh, the world won't get no better if we just let it be. No, no, no. The world won't get no better. We gotta change it, y'all. Just you and me. Wake up, all the doctors. Got to make people well. They're the ones who suffer and catch all the hell. Grant them the healing to live a better day. Healthy and happy, throw their cares away. Wake up, all the builders, time to build a new land. I know we can do it if we all lend a hand. The only thing we have to do is put it in our mind. Surely things will work out, they do it every time. Oh, the world won't get no better if we just let it be. No, no, no. The world won't get no better. We gotta change it, yeah, just you and me. Say, yeah. Yeah, wake up, everybody. No more sleeping in bed. Wake up, everybody. Yeah, gonna need a little help. Can't do it alone. Need a little help, y'all. Can't do it alone. Need a little help, y'all. Can't do it alone. Yeah, need a little help, y'all. Oh, yeah. Yeah, wake up, everybody. 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 Yeah.
Hello, I'm Reverend Jenn Wilde, Senior Minister for New Dawn Center for Spiritual Living. New Dawn Center is a global community, and we welcome all people, all paths, all ways of thinking, all philosophies. So know that you are welcome here, and thank you for joining our online community.